Back here, and we're going to switch to the other side of the ball and focus on defense. We're still here joined by Zach Ryle and Jordan Wells. And Zach, just give me your overall thoughts of this defensive class that they got.
Big and fast. I mean, you look at a lot of the past recruiting classes, and we have progressively gotten bigger and we've progressively gotten faster. You know, our defensive tackles now are averaging like 6'3", 275. That's just unheard of. And I mean, from Pearson to Pride to Leslie. Leslie's probably the smallest of the group, but I mean, big is all I can really say. Big and quick.
I absolutely agree. They're really big, like he said. That's one of the things we talked about with players that could come in and play right away. These defensive tackles are big enough coming out of high school that they're not going to need to get in the weight room. They're going to be able to come play right away. Also, we talked about speed. The JUCO cornerback Harrington was an All-American track guy, 14.1 seconds in the 110-meter hurdles, which would score in the Sun Belt, you know, by itself. So.
And we had already talked about it before. Coach Willie Taggart said quality over quantity. Now, they didn't really get too many signees this time around, but how did they fill the holes for defense? Did they fill all the necessary holes?
Yeah, I think all the holes were filled. The big one was D-line. They lost the 2 defensive ends, but Calvin Washington is his first year playing defensive end. He was actually used to be a tackle. He was 320, lost weight, went down all the way down to 270. So he lost 50 pounds to play DE. His first year playing it, but I think he's going to come in out of a JUCO and play right away. Also, Harrington, like I said, anybody that you get out of a JUCO, they've had a couple of years of experience, they're ready to play. So he's going to come in, I think, and he'll play some cornerback too.
And I think right along with that, you're going to have Dockwall Randall, who's going to come in. I think he's going to be right on the 2 deep. I think he's going to be able to go right in there behind Andrew Jackson. He's not going to step in front of Andrew Jackson, in my personal opinion, but I do believe that he is going to be able to just come in and absolutely tear things up. The other ones that you're going to have to look at, I think, are the 2 defensive tackles. You got Jamarcus Allen, you've got other defensive tackles, but I think it's very important that we make sure that those guys get filled in pretty well. I think we might have a few red shirts, but I think overall, I think we're going to have a very good class.
Out of all these D-line and defensive players, which one was the biggest surprise get that the Tops received?
I think Tyrone Pearson has got to be probably the biggest surprise get. He had several offers from SEC schools, but you know, this guy's got so much talent. I think he sits at 6'3", 275. This guy is just really off the charts as far as his defensive capabilities. But between him and I personally think between Pearson and Dockwall Randall, you got 2 very good guys that, you know, if they make grades, are going to be sitting right there in the middle.
I absolutely agree, and that's one of the things we talked about too. These guys are really big and they're really fast. Randall, we talked about the Kentucky game was one where they hung around for a while and most people felt we should have won that game, but at the end, depth got us. Newton had that huge run up the middle that I don't think would have happened if we weren't so gassed. Guys like Randall, you know, is he going to start over Jackson? No. But can he come in and play some important, you know, plays? Yes.
And they're supposed to be SEC.
Right.
Now, what big surprises did you guys see out of this defensive class?
The big surprise that I thought was obviously Pearson. Most people didn't think he was going to qualify. We did an interview with him yesterday with the Herald. He told us that he has to have a 22 on the ACT in order to qualify. So he's going to go to ACT prep classes every day, he said. He's working his butt off for it, but we'll have to see if it happens or not. I kind of thought that he would end up going a JUCO route or a prep school route, but it looks like he's going to be here. So we'll see if he gets that ACT score in, and he's the one that definitely surprised me the most.
To me, that's definitely it, but I also think getting Calvin Washington, that was not necessarily a big surprise, but WKU hasn't gone JUCO a lot lately. It's been a lot of high school trying to build up that class. We're very, very heavy in our freshman through junior class, which is why we only had 13 guys this semester that signed. So Calvin Washington, I think, is big. Clendenin, we talked about last night, Coach Mathis did, that we need someone to fill in for Jared Clendenin to be able to sit there and take on blockers on that strong side. And, man, 6'4", 270, you're going to be able to do that and some.
Now, looking back a little ways to last year, the Tops got a big transfer from Jonathan Dowling, and he'll be eligible this year. Where do you see him fitting in with this group, Zach?
To me personally, I think he's going to fill in right for where Ryan Beard left off, and I think he's going to play safety, and I think he's going to do one heck of a job. I think they could potentially use him in some offensive packages as well, but, I mean, this kid's a freak athlete. You saw it last year in the spring game a little bit, just what he could do, and that really was only a couple months under his belt. I cannot wait to see what he has with a year and a couple months. Coach Mathis was talking about, I don't know if it's Coach Mathis, but one of the coaches was talking about how they would use him in all different types of scout teams. I think he's going to be the biggest part.
I actually agree. The coaches have talked about him a lot. They said in practice when he plays defense, he's the best defender. When they put him on offense, he's the best guy on offense. So he really dominates in practice. He's big. I think they're going to use his speed to let him ball hawk, hopefully make some pick sixes.
Alrighty, and after the break, we'll take a look at another group of players that will have to work a little bit harder to earn their scholarships.